Hey guys, we are back again. Here we go. So last week we checked out the Inspired Mk18, right? With the stainless steel, is a heavy barrel. No idea who makes it. Mil spec parts on the inside as far as the trigger goes. I'm trying to think with the cack blade, buffer tube, buffer spring. Basically, that's the operating stuff. A full auto bolt carrier group. Was not a Colt or anything. It's just, I don't even know who made it. It's a complete Franken build, all right? But we've shot it before and it shot great. And overall, what we had, I'll post it somewhere. I can't remember the exact numbers right now off the top of my head, but it's about a dozen malfunctions, over 1,000 rounds, which is okay, depending on how you look at it. But it's interesting. So this week, we are stepping it up and moving on to the actual Colt Mk18. We've done plenty of videos on this guy before, but this is a legit SBR Mk18 CQBR, whatever, however you want to call it, Mk18, okay? So, with it, everything in it basically is what it needs to be, far as I understand, okay? Some people might dispute me. This is a B5 SOP mod stock. Some people may say that these are not out there. They all have to be LNT, okay? You might have that. But really, other than that, it has a Geisley trigger in it. It's got an 80% lower that I've Form 1'd. And the light is not a Surefire. The light is a stream light, but this is all stuff we've talked about before. None of that, all the operating system is Colt. Really, it's all Colt. The buffer tube and the buffer has a H2 buffer, which that we'll see if that we run into issues shooting the steel cased ammo with that, if that's too heavy for that, but we'll see. But that's a H2. Yeah, an H2 buffer I got from Chris over there at Shark Arms, along with the buffer spring and the buffer tube. So, as far as I know, this thing's legit and ready to go. And we're going to do the same thing we did last week. We're going to try to run it in the same mortar that we ran it in. We have the American Munitions, their M193, their 55 grain brass cased ammo, and then we have the steel Tula 75, and then we have the, it is Barnaul. I kept saying remanufactured Wolf. I don't know where I heard that. I can't find it again, so it could be one of those things to where you see it and it wasn't actually true. So maybe it's not true, but it's the Barnaul stuff, okay? But they're 62 grain hollow point, and then we have the Brown Bear 55 grain full metal jacket stuff. Now it's interesting, and I'll post a picture in here. When I went up this morning out there to go paint the targets and everything, it was very interesting. We had a lot of keyhole strikes, which is weird. That means that your bullet's not flying straight. It's kind of flopping through the air like this. So that when it hits steel, it just smacks the steel long ways, not straight on, right? So it's kind of weird. And at first I thought, okay, last week we were playing around with some subsonic stuff. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe. But then I only shot like, I don't know, maybe a dozen of those rounds, and most of them were just shooting them, you know, to see if they cycled and everything, not hitting steel. I know I hit steel like maybe 3 times. So there were a lot of keyhole strikes. So I don't know if that was from this ammo, right? From one of these lots of ammo. This barrel is a 1-in-7 twist. The other barrel that I shot on the Inspired was a 1-in-7 twist. So we'll see. If we get a bunch of other keyhole strikes and stuff, then we'll know that it's one of these. If I have to guess, I'm going to say it's a Brown Bear. Because from everything else that I've ever shot before, I've never had that problem. And I've never shot Brown Bear before. My first time shooting it last time. So, anyway, we were going to get to this, and I got my camera back and tripod back and everything. So hopefully we'll get a little bit better video stuff. But I'm going to shut up and we're going to get to it. All right. That was quick. That takes what? So I could be done with this in 45 minutes. 13, 14 minutes is how much that took. This thing is hot. One thing about all this metal furniture on here and everything, like the CQD attachment point, this guy gets hot. I don't know if you can see that, but even my sweat, I'll wipe it on there and it'll just kind of steam off. But it is getting hot. And the other rifle got hot too. The aim point on here is getting a little toasty. I am not going to grab that front sight post. Almost did. The light is getting hot. This is not a fresh battery in it, but still working. See, upper receiver is definitely getting warm. Lower receiver, not quite yet. I mean, it's not cold. It's like lukewarm, whatever. But anyway, that is our first initial looking at the brass case from American, what is it? American Munitions? American Marksman, I believe it is. And as you can see, I'm standing right here, right? And all my brass is landing all down there in a nice pile, which is pretty nice. That's pretty much where it's supposed to be landing, right? As far as from what I remember, not right out at 3, right? But out at like a 430-ish kind of thing, which is good, which means that this H2 buffer is doing its job, slowing everything down. Now it'll be interesting, like I said before, switching over to this lower powered steel stuff to see how that stuff functions. But even looking back on the Inspired Mk18, for whatever reason, operation stuff, this is just, other people probably know what more to do with this information than I do. That sentence didn't make any sense. There are smarter people out there that would know what this information means as far as it ejecting to the 430, and my Inspired shooting the same stuff was ejecting forward at like the 2, right? Because it was all basically landing on the table. It looked really cool, made it a cool little pile, but from my understanding, it needs to be shooting it back behind you a little bit. AK shoot in front of you, right? ARs are supposed to shoot a little bit behind you. That's my understanding of it. All right, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I don't think I've ever claimed to be one. So anyway, we're gonna move on. Next up is the Tula 75. All right, another thing I've done in preparation for this whole test is I broke out my old Magpul DVDs. So we're gonna try to do some transition kind of things. If anybody that has seen those DVDs, okay, watches this, I know I'm fouling it up miserably. Okay, I will be the first to admit and the last to admit that I need practice on all of this stuff. And I will say again, I probably should go to a class. Instead of spending all this money on ammo, I probably should go to a class. My main thing is I don't have the time. So we're gonna practice some stuff, getting down in like the prone, the urban prone, just some different things like that, and just continue to test out this ammo. Right now we're starting new, or not new, but we're starting with the 75 grain Wolf, not Wolf, Tula, the Tula 75 hollow point. Don't want to jinx myself, so I'm going to stop right there. All right. Make sure this little guy's rolling. All right. Yep. And we're doing Tula 75 hollow points. All right. So just to start it off, we'll just do some simple up drills. Whoop. All right, we got it. First malfunction. Here we go. So number 1. Look down in there. I felt I had a dead trigger. And it was a failure to load. There's a round. Failure to load. That could be, we're running a steel mag, right? And I'm kind of digging it into the dirt. That could be a magazine issue, right? Because these have that wiggle. And if you put it off, could be the issue. But that's one malfunction, failure to load. One malfunction for the Tula 75. All right, continue. dead trigger. All right. Nothing, didn't load. All right. So that would be another failure to load. All right. Tell you what, basically what we're gonna do, I'm gonna burn through the rest of this magazine. You know what? We're not gonna play all this, so I'm gonna quit talking. Oh. All right, third malfunction, but I'm really thinking this has to do with ammo. Or not, I think it has to do with the buffer tube, because the third malfunction, right, the failure to load. Okay, so it's firing, but I'm thinking the issue is that the buffer is too heavy for these loads. Possibly. That's the third malfunction. All right, so we're just gonna do some transitions without the sling. Okay, here we go. We got the last, I'm gonna save 2 mags of each one of these except the brass. I already shot it. Because I got some buddies coming out here. One of them is their first time out here. The other guy owns the place. So I'm gonna let them run some ammo through this gun. I don't wanna have all the fun by myself, because I actually got out here really early. So we're gonna run through these last 2 mags, which is a 20 rounder and my 30 rounder. We're gonna run through these and just shoot and just have some fun, transition kind of stuff or something, I don't know. But then at the end, probably, depending on how actually the day runs out, they'll be shooting the last 2 mags of the other 3 kinds of ammo. So anyway, make sure we are going, we're recording. Good, here we go. All right, this is the last of the Tula. 2 more mags that everybody else is gonna shoot. Last of the Tula for me. All right, last round. There you go. So far, 3 malfunctions, 2 of which were completely failures to load, 1 of which was a, can I see things? 2 failures to load, 1 was a failure, or they're all failures to load. Can't think. Anyway, 2 complete failures to get anything out of the magazine. The other one was just a failure to get the bullet from the magazine to the chamber. So I'm walking back over here and I started thinking to myself, you know, this is a pretty heavy gun. Like I was carrying it, you know, like this, being all lazy and everything. And I got to thinking, man, this is heavy. I'm like, wow, it's just a little gun. It shouldn't be that heavy. And then it got me thinking, a buddy of mine who actually I met on the internet worlds, another fellow cloner guy, he sent me a barrel, a Colt barrel, that was cut down 10.3 inch. So it's the right length. Apparently it's the right profile, right? Because from my understanding, and it's hard to actually nail this down, but from my understanding, original CQBRs like this were government profile barrels. They were not the heavy SOCOM whatever barrels and stuff. Well, if I have it, then I could go ahead and put that barrel on this gun, right? And then make this guy even lighter. Or I'm kind of throwing around the idea, I have kind of half the stuff of making a Mod 1, a Mk18 Mod 1. And if I did that, I think that barrel works for that position, but then I've heard other people say that they use the heavy barrels. So this is one of those things to where, bonus fact, if you actually watch this whole video and everything, that might be coming up. One way or the other, that barrel will be on here. Because I don't know if it'll be on this gun or it'll be on another gun, but you will see that barrel someday, sometime. I don't know, maybe this will be a bonus fact for something, I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna get to this. So here we go, we got the, which one is this? These are the first rounds of the Barnall. I kept calling it Wolf or unbranded Wolf. I don't know if it is, I don't know if it didn't, but it's Barnall. SG Ammo had a great deal on it. They've always got great deals, check them out. They do not sponsor me, all right? They just have great deals on ammo. So here we go, we're gonna start it with this stuff and just roll with it. Okay, let's go. what people will say, or I don't know if people say this or not, because I could completely just make that up, but I've heard some internet instructor people, however, I don't want to put their names out there, but I've heard them say, you know, they'll be watching students or folks and they're getting misses and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then they ask them, well, where was your either front sight post or your red dot? Where was your optic when you pulled the trigger? When the trigger broke, where was your optic? And they're like, I don't know. Well, okay. I know for me, I'm at the point to where I generally can call my shot because I can see I'm doing the figure 8 thing, or I'm just outside, I'm waiting for the dot to pass right over the target or whatever. And I can be like, oh, I'm left. I know, because whenever that shot broke, I was on the left side. Those last 5 shots you saw, if this is if I'm aiming at my head, like I'm seeing my dot when I break, it's like boom, 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 and I'm not hitting the dot or hitting the target. So if you're at that point, my understanding of all that, that's a good thing, because you can self-diagnose a lot of stuff. And now you know you just need to slow down a little bit. And you need to practice, become proficient. And then you push yourself and see where you're at, and then you practice. Anyway, that's my understanding of it anyway. See, that was left, down, up. See that little guy? Can you see that little guy? That little guy, right? Where did he go? The little bitty one right here. Little guy right on the tip of my finger. That is one of those 4-inch targets. So when you're talking about a 4 MOA dot, at 100 he covers up the dot. Here, it depends on how bright you have your red dot, it might bloom out and get a little bit big. But if you cover up that target with your dot, you will hit it, but it's hard to hold it steady sometimes. Still pretty cool though. Oh. Here we go. All right, so bar and all, 62 grain hollow point. We have rounds in there. All right. You see we've got a not chambered round, or it's not chambered. I don't know if there's a round in there yet. Apparently there probably is. Yep. Here's our round. See, it got hung up going in there. It's nice and warm and toasty. So that's one malfunction so far for bar and all. And we fired 3.5 mags. And yes, I'm reloading that round. Some people say you shouldn't, but I just did. And watch, if I die, I die. And it's cycled, it's fine. So, who knows what that was? These, the bar and alls, have no excuse for mag malfunctions, all right? These are all brand new PMags. They were used one time each for the Inspired build, but they're brand new. They came out of the package for that, so they've had one 30-round load put through them so far. All right. You gotta keep up your pistol skills. One way or the other, someday you'll need it. Actually, more in reality, you'll need your pistol skills more than you'll need your rifle skills if you are the average Joe civilian. Here we go, time to reload. Okay, last mag and a half. Really, it's one mag and then a 10-rounder. And these are the last of the bar and all. Ah, and I painted my targets. Stupid. That was dumb. Anyway. So I guess I'll dump these into these close to targets, just do some transitions, and then we move on to our brown bear, which I think are the ones causing the keyhole. Because so far, nothing else is really showing much of signs of anything. Make sure this guy's on. Work. All right, that was quick. That was really quick. If we're looking where brown bear's landing, and then yeah, they all appear to be landed. They're not going in front of me like the other ones. So the heavy buffer tube, H2 buffer tube, really is doing its work. Go check these targets and see if they are actually keyholing or not. Shoot, I need to do this more often. Getting out here early, I would shoot more often, but again, I don't have the time, the money for ammo to do that. But getting out here early is actually pretty cool because it's only like 9:45 and I'm almost done, right? Usually it's 9:45 and I'm just getting here. So we beat the main heat, and obviously the sun is not really out yet. I mean, it's out, but you can kind of see from the sky, whatever. It's starting to kind of peek around, trying to peek around, burn through clouds and stuff. But in general, we got overcast, and right now, my phone is not telling me what temperature is, but it can't be more than like mid 80s or something like that. So it's definitely nicer than the other day when out here and it was like 95 or 100, I don't know, but it was nasty. So it's not near as bad, So anyway, yeah, if you ever have the opportunity to go to somewhere, take the time and get up early, right? Lose a little bit of sleep, go to bed a little bit earlier and get out early. You can get a lot done in the morning. Anyway, all right, we're gonna finish this out. We got, I'll put you back up here so you can see what's going on. But we've got our last small mag, which I think is just 10 rounds. Maybe, yeah, about 10 rounds. And then these 3 mags. And then we have 2 mags of each one. I keep saying this besides the brass that my buddies are gonna shoot. So that's that. We're gonna finish this stuff out and see how she rolls. Okay, so there's targets and everything. So there we go, guys. Final words on this real quick. We've got brown bear didn't malfunction, did it? No. So far, brown bear did not malfunction. Amazing. Of all the things, brown bear and steel being the only ones that didn't malfunction. Go figure. That's interesting. All right, but we still have 6 mags that we will do in a minute, and we'll see if those get us caught up. Let's go back. All right, guys, so here we go. That was it. That was pretty much the end of what I've done so far. The rest of these, you see, we got 6 mags for my buddies to shoot if they ever get out here. I don't know. I can't give them much crap for that because usually now's about the time that I'm actually finally getting out here, and I'm already done. So it's awesome. The sun's kind of coming out. Things will start to warm up, but wow, I kind of beat the heat. It's pretty cool. Malfunction-wise, what did we get? I believe we only have 4 malfunctions. I went back and looked at the footage and everything. I believe we really only had 4 malfunctions. We had 0 malfunctions with the brass. We had 3 malfunctions with the Tula, this Tula 75, and then we had 1 malfunction with the Barnall, whatever, 62 grain hollow point. And they all were the same exact. Well, kind of. 2 of them. Okay. Wow. 2 of the Tulas were complete empty chambers. It just did not pick up the next round. Okay, I don't know, whatever that was. And then 1 of the Tula and then the 1 malfunction from the Barnall, those were both. It was failures to load, basically. The bullet was too steep of an angle. Something got in the way, and it was caught halfway jacked up in the chamber. So it was all failures to load. They didn't load, right? But 2 of them were complete empty chambers. 2 of them were the jacked up round halfway in the chamber. So, Brown Bear, I don't know, whatever happened, it just decided it wanted to work. So it worked just fine, which is crazy. And I hope I didn't destroy my barrel. I mean, it is a chrome lined barrel, so it should be able to hold up pretty well. We did not melt this gun down to where it got so hot that, you know, I don't think it's really going to affect anything like that. I think my other gun, the Inspired Mk18, I think it heated up even more. From holding on to it and everything, it felt hotter. It felt like it got hotter, and I think I was even shooting it longer. So I don't know, maybe Colts disperse heat better. I have no idea. That's completely made up. So anyway, 4 malfunctions so far, and then we have 2, 4, 6 more mags, which is 180 rounds, right? Loaded to 30, yeah. So 180 rounds. So we fired 820 rounds, something like that, with 4 malfunctions. Okay, so unless these last 180 rounds go barfing on us, then this would be pretty cool. So I'm gonna have to wait for my buddies to get out here and shoot that stuff. I just wanted to save something for them to shoot. And anyway, so that's it. So pretty cool. I think it's pretty neat. Alrighty, guys, here we go. We're back at the house. And the fan's on because it's hot. It feels hot. It's only 87, but it feels a lot hotter than that. So here we go. Finally got back. My buddies, I did not get any footage of them shooting. Probably could have, probably should have, but I didn't. But they finished out the rounds. And what was very interesting, right, was before they fired anything, we had 4 malfunctions, if you remember. Where our brass ran 100%. Our Tula, we had 1 malfunction. I believe it was 1. No, we had 3. 3 feeding issues, right? And then our Barnall, I think it's Barnall, I don't know. We had 1 malfunction, and then, surprisingly, we had 0 Brown Bear malfunctions. So, after letting them shoot the last 6 mags, only in 6 mags, right, we had 6 more malfunctions with Tula, all right? And no more malfunctions with Brown Bear or Barnall. But 6 malfunctions with Tula. And it's got me to thinking, right? This is a carbine length gas system, right, on a 10.3 inch, so it works, right? But it's not like a pistol length gas system. It has a H2 buffer, which is what, a 5 point something ounce buffer, I believe. Regular spring, carbine length spring, full auto bolt carrier group, and it was shooting Tula 75 grains, so a heavier round, right? And I don't know how all this works. I really don't know. But a heavier round in Tula, so a generally not as hot round, right? Having to cycle a very heavy bolt in a full auto bolt carrier group. And so here's my thinking. There's no way to let y'all feel how this thing shot. I really wish I could. I kind of mentioned it out there on the range. When you feel the difference of shooting 55, 62, and 75 grain out of this gun, that 75 grain Tula, it was slow. It was slow cycling. It was very smooth. Like it was weird. It was very smooth. It was almost like on the extreme lower end of the operating of its operating. I want to say temperature. It's not temperature, but you know what I'm trying to say. Of its operating zone, right? Operating pressure. If it had a little bit more pressure, I think we wouldn't have seen any of those malfunctions. I believe my theory is those feeding malfunctions were when the bolt was just not going back all the way. It was coming back enough to strip out that last round and eject it, but it just wasn't picking up that last round, or the next round. So that's my theory, okay? And that being said, that is an ammo, that's ammo related, right? Because when we run the full power M193, 0 malfunctions. Perfect, good to go. I believe even the Inspired build, we had 0 malfunctions with full powered ammo. It's once we start using these lower powered steel cased ammo, and I don't know if it's even fair to say steel case is lower powered, because it depends on who makes it, right? Hornady makes some awesome steel case stuff, and as far as I can tell, it's not underpowered, right? But if you start using these lower shelf, call them that, lower shelf ammunition manufacturers, whether it's Russian stuff, whatever it is, a lot of times it is underpowered ammo. And so if you put underpowered ammo in a heavy operating, like a H2 buffer and everything, you might run into some problems. Whereas I bet if I ran a standard buffer tube in here, or the standard buffer, we wouldn't have seen as many malfunctions. Now, why on the last 2 magazines of, what was it, Tula, did we have 6 malfunctions? I don't know. I don't know why I didn't have that many. I only had, what, 3 out of that whole lot. And then out of 2 magazines of that ammo, we had 6 more. So could it be that the gun cooled down and it got gummy, and maybe that just pushed it right over the edge and started making it hang up? Possibly. It possibly could. That could be a very viable reason of why that happened the way it did. But regardless, we only had 10 malfunctions complete overall, which is not bad. 10 malfunctions out of 1,000 rounds. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I will say right now, I mean, that was just shy of what our Inspired build did. So technically, this guy did operate. He operated more reliably, just barely, by the skin of his teeth. But he did operate more reliably. Again, I don't have a temperature. I keep saying, oh, sorry, I shouldn't do that. I didn't have a temperature gauge or any way to measure the heats on these things. The barrel did get very hot. The light did not seem to get as hot as on the Inspired. The optic didn't seem to get as hot. None of it seemed to get super. It all got hot, but not as hot as the other one. It's this little CQD plate right here. It did get pretty hot. So whenever you're holding the gun, right, and you're holding it like this, or however you're going to hold it, it will kind of burn a little bit into your hand, just a little bit. But it's not too bad. It was all manageable. So we're going to break this thing open and look at it. I have kind of looked at it, but I need to quit saying That's one of those triggered word things. I don't know. We're going to look at this. I'm going to bring you in a little bit, and we're going to look at this. Okay, let's count how many times I say in this whole thing. One thing to note, if you look right here, right, you see this little silver right here? This is scratching through my Cerakote. So Cerakote is not indestructible. I said it again. Wow. It is a good finish, and it does protect the firearm, but it can get scratched through. And that's where I had I said it again, my clip for my sling was rattling up against here. So Cerakote will come off at some point. It is more durable than regular paint, but it is not a foolproof thing, unless I just completely put it on wrong. Alright, we're not so worried about down here, but as we can see, it's kind of dirty. It is dirty, but it doesn't look like mushroom soup or anything. But it is dirty. But I'm not so worried about this. This can get really dirty and still work. It's not the main focus right now, though. The main focus is right here. Hopefully we can see this. Right? This is fairly dirty. Right? I don't know if you can see it. Feeling it, it does not feel gritty. Now granted, I did not do like a torture test to good grief, to put a bunch of sand and dirt and junk in there. I just ran the ammo. I got the gun close to the ground, but I didn't intentionally pour crap into the gun. It's not that kind of test. But looking at it, yeah, look at that grime. Grimy, grimy, grimy. I'll take some pictures of this. I'll stop the video in just a second. I'm gonna take some pictures before I start wiping it off. All right, I'll roll in some pictures of this. But something to note, and thanks to Jeremy for pointing this out. This is very dirty, and I'll roll in the pictures and you can see a little bit better. But the oil that I'm using, there is still lubrication on this bolt carrier group. Okay, it did not sound super gritty and nasty whenever I was cycling it, and you can still see shiny. Even though it is nasty, it still has lubrication on it, as well as the charging handle. There's still some lubrication on there, just a little bit, because I only put a little bit on there. And then down in the gun itself, it doesn't look super dry. It looks kind of gunky, but it doesn't look super dry, which is a good thing, because that means that there's still lubrication in the gun. So even after 1,000 rounds, and the gun gets really hot, even though I just said it didn't get as hot, or didn't seem to get as hot as the other gun, there's no way for me to actually know that except for my hand and feeling it. So whatever. The oil and everything I'm using, I mentioned before in the other video, I think, is this Spartan Accuracy oil, right? This stuff right here, Spartan Accuracy oil. This is stuff that I got from Sonoran Desert Institute when I was in one of their classes. The carbon destroyer that they have, this stuff right here, I really like this, and I need to get more because I'm basically out, and I really mainly use this. Right now it's one of those things where I only use this on my Mark 12. The oil, it lasts a long time. I barely even dented that, but the carbon destroyer, it really does help break down all, like, it would make this a breeze to clean, but I'm almost out of it, so I might have to use something else. So anyway, there we go. That was interesting. That was actually pretty cool. I thought that was very interesting. Having 4 malfunctions out of 820 rounds, and then my last 6 mags, I added 6 more malfunctions, right? 6 more. All of Tula. And that's where I'm thinking, I'm really thinking, if I had run a bunch of steel, or not steel, a bunch of brass after, for those last 6 mags, if those last 6 mags were brass, full powered, I don't think we would have had a problem. I think the gun would have kept on chugging, no problem. I think it's just that Tula is just on the border of being, of meeting that window of pressure, of operating pressure, and then it did cool down completely, I believe, the gun did, and so any congealed with all this gunk, there's plenty of gunk, and if it's operating on that extreme low end of pressure, that gunk and everything after it cooled down could have pushed it over the edge as far as making it not want to cycle as well. Just theories at this point, because I don't have another 1,000 rounds to run through this gun, right? I have other guns that I need to do, other stuff I got to work on. So, and that's why this is not a completely 100% scientific, you can take it to the bank kind of thing. This is one guy, one day, one gun, 1,000 rounds. That's what I should call this series. But it was, to me, it was very interesting, and it did show that this gun will basically operate very well given most kinds of ammunition. Most people aren't shooting the 75 grain. Every time I shot the 62 or the 55, it was thumping away. It was working really good. And what was cool, I'll say it again, just because you could definitely feel it in this gun, was that with those different weights, right, and even those different manufacturers too, you can put those two together, you can really feel the gun slow down in cadence or speed up in cadence. Not cadence really, but cyclic rate, right? You can feel it slower. It's very interesting, very interesting. Which would tell me if I'm going to go bring a new shooter, right, and my gun's clean and everything, if I gave them the 75 grain ammo in this gun, obviously you probably are going to run into some under pressure, right, cycling issues possibly, which are not hard to fix. You just charge a handle and you're good to go. It might be more enjoyable for them to shoot it because it's going to be softer recoiling. It was just softer. It was not as bad. It was really not as bad. So there you go. That's it. That's today's video. The chapter, the Colt Mk18 Mod0, 10 malfunctions. Other than that, it's worked very good. Worked great. I really enjoyed it. So stand by for more to come. We're going to be looking at our M4s, more M4s, the Colt M4 and the PSA M4. We're going to put those head to head again, do the same thing, see if one turns out working better or whatever than the other. And I will tell you one thing. I don't know what they put on that PSA M4. That thing is slick as butter. it is smooth. And yeah, I've shot it and I've cleaned it, but from day one, I don't know if the stars aligned just right or whatever, that thing is smooth. So I'm very interested to see how it's really going to respond to all this shooting and stuff. So very interested to see. So anyway, I appreciate y'all's support, appreciate you watching all this stuff. Really do. I really hope to bring y'all some better content, more interesting stuff. So stand by for that. So y'all be good to be safe. We'll catch you next video.